You were born in Brazil. Where were you born?
I was born in a city called Niterói, which is across the bay from Rio. And in those days, my early childhood, we had to take a ferry to go to Rio de Janeiro. It seemed kind of far away, but today there's a bridge, so you can drive directly to Niterói.
So were your parents in show business?
My father was a doctor, and my mother was a housewife.
Okay. So how did you get into music?
How did I get into music? Actually, you should see, there's a documentary about my life, very well done by a man named John Scheinfeld. He did Coltrane, he did Harry Nilsson. Do you have that?
I saw a little bit of it.
Yeah, I'll be glad to send it to you. So that will give you a lot of information, because he did a great job.
Okay. How many instruments do you play?
Basically keyboards. But let me tell you how the piano came to my life. When I was 3 years old, I fell in the bathtub, and I have a scar until today. And I had osteomyelitis, which was an inflammation of the bone. So I have to have operations, and luckily penicillin was invented around the same time, and I was one of the first people to take penicillin in Brazil. And so that saved my leg and saved my life. And then going back home from the hospital, I could not play soccer or ball or football or bicycle, so my mother gave me a piano. That's how music came into my life. I started taking piano lessons, and I loved the piano. Was like, still is my friend, and so that's how music came to me.
Did you have access to any of the American music in the 50s?
Yeah, I did, because I started listening to. My father used to listen to Frank Sinatra, and I said, oh, I was like in heaven, you know. And then when I was around 12 years old, started listening to jazz, and I fell in love with it. Dave Brubeck was the first record I heard, Take 5, and then many other pianists, you know, Horace Silver, all the jazz greatest, you know, I mean, all of them. I mean, it was very influential in my life, you know, listening to those great players and the great music, and Charlie Parker and Coltrane and all that.
Did you have any artists that you looked up to?
I love jazz. I was in love. They were my idols, you know. Those, when I came to the United States the first time, which next month will be 60 years, they had a bossa nova concert at Carnegie Hall, and Jobim came, and I had a band at that time, and then I met everybody, Dizzy Gillespie and Stan Getz. Bossa nova became a big thing, you know. It was the song Desafinado, and I met Cannonball Adderley, made a record with him, so I was having a great time.
So your first concert in America was Carnegie Hall?
November 1962.
That's wonderful. So tell me about Cannonball.
Cannonball was amazing. Cannonball was like, I went to see his show, and he was playing at Birdland. And he saw the concert, and so came to me and said, Sergio, let's make a record. I said, well, I couldn't believe it. I was pinching myself. I couldn't believe it that Cannonball was asking me, 21 years old from Brazil. And I made the record with him and had a wonderful time. He was a gentleman, an incredible human being, and a fantastic player.
Now, do you consider, I know serendipity was the word you brought, but do you think you're lucky?
Serendipity, I love it, because it's lucky combined with randomness, kind of, you know. How would I know that I was going to meet Cannonball, you know? So it's a combination of things. It's not only, of course, lucky plays a big role in that, absolutely. But also the perseverance. I think that, you know, once you have those encounters in your life, you know, like my wife, and, you know, it's kind of a blessed kind of a thing, and it's for you to enjoy, you know, and move ahead.
What did you think of America when you first came here?
Oh, I fell in love with it. I knew by movies and music, and I couldn't believe I was in New York, you know.
Was that the first time you saw snow?
No, actually no. Because it was not snowing yet. It was November. So no, it was later on I saw snow for the first time.
So you go to New York. You make the album with Cannonball. What happens next?
I go back to Brazil.
Okay.
Go back to Brazil, and I formed another band, and another band. I had several instrumental bands, and then in 1964. There was a coup d'etat in Brazil, you know, kind of a revolution with the military taking over, so the atmosphere was not good, it was like terrible. And so I went to see a friend of mine, my godfather he was my best man at my wedding. I asked him I said, I want to go to America. He gave me tickets, and I put together a band. I came to LA in 64. November of 64.
Now is that Brazil 65 we're talking?
That's Brazil 65 we're talking, yes.
Okay.
Right.
So who's in that band?
That band I had a trio, myself, a drummer, Chico Batera and Sebastian Neto, and a singer named Wanda de Sá. And we start playing clubs in LA, auditioning to people. We play at Charles Mann Hall, when I met Bud Shank and I met the great West Coast musicians.
And is that when you got signed by Capitol?
Yeah, exactly. David Kavanaugh, he was Nat King Cole's producer, and he came to see my show at Charlie's Man and said, let's make a record at Capitol. That's exactly right.
Okay. So why did that band end?
That band trying to remember, when that, I think, I'm trying to remember now what happened with that band. I mean, people they wanted to do other things, and I said, okay, I'm going to put together another band. And
now this is Brazil 66.
Brazil 66 now. And met Lonnie Hall in Chicago. She was working in a little folk club. And then I put together a band in LA, and I started auditioning again and again. And at that time, record companies used to come to see new bands that were auditioning in LA. And Herb Alpert and Jerry Moss, they came in at the end of 65 and saw the band. They loved the sound, and they signed me to A&M.
Okay, so you added another girl too. Who told you to add the girls?
Me.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had instrumentals for many years. Trombones and bossa rio and all that. And then I love the sound of two girls singing together. So simple and so sensual and beautiful. And so there was a Brazilian girl living in LA named Bibi Vogel. So it was her and Lonnie. Yeah, and I just start, playing with that sound, and I loved it. I was used with, two trombones and this and that, and say, you know what, I love this vocal thing, because then we could not only do the songs, but the lyrics, the Brazilian music, the great lyrics, and so that was Brazil 66, and so we recorded our first record. And Mas Que Nada became a big success.
That's a wonder. That song is great.
Yeah.
That song is going to last till the end of time.
Yeah.
Really.
It's magical, isn't it?
It's a magical song.
I know.
And I was going to ask you so things are going very well. You start.
Not yet. Still making it. Not yet. I mean, I'm going well. Yes. I was working, but little, and then the record comes out, and then things start really. And Herb takes us on the road, opening act for the Tijuana Brass. That helped a lot. And so yeah, the serendipity thing again,
Do you start doing TV shows?
Yes.
What do you do?
Oh, we did the Bob Hope. We did, you name it. We did all that. We did Sullivan, Fred Astaire special.
Well, tell me about that.
Fred Astaire, amazing. Dancing to the Look of Love. We rehearsed 1 month in LA, and I was in awe every day. I couldn't believe it was Fred Astaire, and amazing sweetheart and lovely man, and then we did so many. I mean, we did Bob Hope, we did many of those. Because those days the musicals were very popular. We did most of them.
So what was
Jerry Lewis, yeah.
most people don't know this, but in the 1960s, everyone thinks it's rock and roll, but there's so much going on in the 1960s.
Yeah, that's right. That's when the Beatles came out, and that's when I heard that great melody, Fool on the Hill. I decided to record that. You know, I'm into melodies.
But the guys in the 30s and 40s and 50s were still around, like Sinatra, Big Crosby, and Martin.
Yeah, absolutely. And one day I got a call from my agent, Jerry Parencho, my dear friend, and he came to he was like elegant man also, and he said, "You're gonna go out with Frank." I said, "What?" I said, "What Frank?" He said, "You're gonna go out with Frank Sinatra." I said, "What?" I couldn't believe it again. So I went out on the first tour, and then so many other tours with him, and we became friends. And we went to Europe, we went everywhere, and he loved Brazilian music. So there I was working, opening for Frank Sinatra. You know, every night, listen to him to sing and all that. So,
did you get to meet any of your other heroes?
Oh, many. Yeah, oh, many. So many.
Okay, I saw a picture of you and Elvis.
Yes, he came. I was working in Vegas with Paul Anka, and he came to see our show, and then he came backstage. Yes.
You got a picture with him?
Yes.
I've been interviewing some of his friends the last few years because he didn't have that many friends. I want to talk more about you. I know you don't have forever. So I saw you on a clip of the Danny Kaye show, and someone's playing the sitar.
A sitar?
Yeah.
Yes, because you know we did. Trying to remember, we did. Was a song called Chove Chuva. So there's an intro, ding, 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 and John Pisano, which was a guitarist with Herb Alpert, and I said, you know, I said, why don't we use a sitar, you know, an Indian instrument in Brazilian music? I always like that encounter, those kind of things, you know.
Fool on the Hill.
Yes.
Is great.
Yes.
Tell me the story.
The story is, I am spending New Year's and Christmas with Herb Alpert and in Acapulco. So he brought a bunch of records to listen to it. And that was the Beatles record that had full. I heard that melody, an idea came to my mind. I said, man, I love this melody. And but I got to do that in a Brazilian way, you know, with a samba beat, samba in 3/4. And anyway, we went back to LA, and I got the band at the studio. Said, I already had the arrangement ready for Fool on the Hill, and you know, like magic. And then also with Fool on the Hill in those days, I had my friend Dave Gerson. They wrote beautiful orchestral arrangements. The track was ready, and he came in and brought the strings, and so it made it even more, you know, beautiful. Yeah.
You played the
same thing was Fool on the Hill. Same thing was Look of Love.
Okay, Look of Love. You play it on the '68 Oscars, Academy Awards. Right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's when the Oscars aren't like what they used to be. The Oscars back then are fantastic.
Yes.
So you played it. Tell me about that.
Well, and we lost for Talk to the Animals, which was the other song.
But still being on there.
Being on it, of course. You know, and a great song, Burt Bacharach. I heard was it Dusty Springfield? She recorded. Again, I heard the melody. I said, man, I love this. I think I can make this sound Brazilian and have my own style, my own print to it. So, and Burt loved the arrangement, and the song went very big.
One of your biggest songs.
Yes.
Okay, so Lanny Hall leaves the group. That
Yes.
must upset you very much.
It's in the documentary. You saw that.
Yeah.
Of course, you know. By the way, we're still very close friends.
Okay.
I speak to Herb at least once a week.
Really?
And, oh yeah, we're very, very close friends. I love him, and Jerry Moss too. So it's a wonderful thing. We talk a lot about serendipity, but how about like towards the end of your life? Not the end, but you know, I mean, I never planned to be close friends with them when I met them. So here we are 50 years later, very, very close friends. We love each other. We talk once a week. So I feel that's a blessing. And I've been very blessed about that, to have friends like Herb and Jerry.
So your to-be wife joins next, right?
Yes. I met her in Brazil. She's 17 years old. She's singing in a small club in São Paulo, and I look at her, there's love at first sight. I said, you know, that's it. Gracinha is her name. And
I'm not Spanish, or I mean Portuguese, so I have a hard time with some of the names. So sorry.
Gracinha, it means little grace.
Okay.
Her name is Maria da Graça Leporassi is her last name. And she's amazing, incredible singer, her own voice and style, and you know, she is amazing. You're gonna see her tonight, and you're gonna tell me.
Okay, so you played for Nixon, you played for Johnson. Well, did you get to talk to that all?
Oh, it was a great experience. You can imagine invited to play the White House for both of them. And I have a cute story about Nixon.
Okay.
We invited for dinner. Also was Mrs. Nixon, and I had to rent tails, you know, because I didn't have a tail at those days. And so we had dinner and all of that. I mean, I'm like shaking, you know. I'm at the White House, you know. And so showtime, he go on stage to introduce the band. He said, "Ladies and gentlemen, my friends from Brazil, Sergio Mendes, and we're gonna dedicate a song tonight, very special. We're gonna dedicate, this is Richard Nixon, I'll say, we're gonna dedicate this song to the Senate." And I said, "What is it to the Senate?" He said, and the song is called "The Fools on the Hill." So a big applause. He broke the ice, and you know, it's a great, I mean, great story. And that was the, as my saxophone player, great too.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the Richard Nixon. That's the Fool on the Hill story.
Okay, so why do you leave A&M in 1973 for Bell?
You know, trying to remember, it was not really, I had, my contract expired.
Okay.
Was A&M, and I had, you know, I was there for a long time. And, you know, like things move on, you know, and I made the last record for them was Primal Roots, which, you know, the critics loved it. It was a very, you know, very Brazilian oriented album. Anyway, so it was the end of the contract, and you know, it was time to move on.
Okay.
And luckily, after that, I met David Geffen, starting Geffen Records at the time. He said, "Sergio, you're welcome. Make the best music you can." And so I had a wonderful time at Elektra, and then it was Bob Krasno, and then one day Herb called me and said, "You want to come back to A&M?" I said, "Yeah."
And then things go crazy again, right?
Yes, absolutely. But I made a very nice record that we won a Grammy for Elektra called the Brasileiro.
Okay.
I'm sure you know, yeah. And then I went back to A&M, and then the first record I did for them had Never Gonna Let You Go. It was my friend Joe Pizzullo from Youngstown, Ohio, and things are, you know, moving.
Okay, two things about going back. So then you're in a James Bond movie, the James Bond
That's
song.
right. That's so. Yes, yeah.
Because that's the last Sean Connery James Bond. Never Say Never Again.
Yes.
Okay, I interviewed Peter Nero a few years ago, and in '68 he did a song for the Olympics. He did the same thing in '84.
Yes. Great. Olympia.
Did you do that on purpose?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. I was asked to write the song. Yeah.
And so that was
Barry and Cynthia Weil wrote the lyrics. Joe Pizzullo sang beautiful song. Yeah.
Okay, and so you're doing well. Is there anything when you're doing year after year after year, you're doing well? Did you buy anything as a present to yourself? Anything important to you that you loved?
Man, I was in love with the music so much. You know, I wanted to do more and more, and you know, try this, try that. That's the motivation of my life. Musical things. I mean, I try, you know, different sounds, different influences, all of that.
You seem to me, I obviously don't know you, but you seem very grounded. You have a family. It seems like when I saw a little bit of the show, your kids love you and stuff. But a lot of people in show business, they have a hard time. Why didn't that happen to you?
I don't know how to answer that because, you know, destiny, whatever. So far has been great.
Okay.
And, you know, I have a great family, beautiful, lovely wife. I mean, and my health so far is good.
You look great.
And
so you had a renaissance about 15 years ago With William Am I got some of the.
Will I am.
Yeah, yes, right. So how did that happen?
Will am I? How do you say it? How do you say it?
I said it wrong?
No, I love it. He's gonna love
Well, I
that.
am, okay.
Okay.
But then you started.
again, you came to the house, my records, you know, and a big fan. I know all your songs, and we kind of immediately. It was a natural thing, you know. That's why nothing was forced. Nothing was like produced by a record company. It was like the encounter of two musicians that like each other and respect each other. And we did Timeless, which is again a big record, and he was amazing musician, and very intelligent, very musical, and great ideas. So it was like something fresh, something new for me to do.
Were you ever offered a TV show? Because it was Sonny and Cher. There's all those people who had TV shows. Were you ever offered a show?
No, not really.
Okay.
I'm ready.
You traveled around the whole world. What's some of the nicest venues you ever worked at?
Well, my favorite venue, I gotta tell you, is the Hollywood Bowl. Because I live in LA, and it's a beautiful theater, and it's home and all of that, and you know, it's like amazing. But so many other beautiful halls. I mean, Albert Hall in London, the Philharmonic in Vienna, and we do a lot of shows with the orchestra also, which I love to do it. So there's many beautiful places. I mean, I love Vienna, I love Paris, I did all the big festivals. I'm gonna do it again next year, like Umbria, what are the other great jazz festivals? The one in Montreux in Switzerland, and I love those. The North Sea Jazz Festival, you know, I love doing that in Europe in the summer, the jazz festival, and I think we're gonna do that again next year.
I'm a photographer by trade. I'm a still photographer, so I do fashion weeks around Europe all the time.
Is that right?
I had to stop for a few years because of COVID. So I did it from 1997 to 2012. Every summer I went to Europe.
So you know all those festivals?
Absolutely.
I'll send you, once I got those things, I'll send you the itinerary.
I'd love to go there. I don't want to keep you forever, but
That's fine. We're almost there.
Okay. Did you ever think about?
And you drove all the way from Phoenix.
I think you're special.
Oh man, thank you.
I think you're very special.
How was your drive? How long?
7 hours. It was terrible. It was
7 hours.
Because I didn't know exactly where I was going.
Wow.
You know when you're not knowing where you're going.
Yeah, I know.
What I wanted to ask you is,
go ahead.
did you ever get to a point where you wanted to quit the business?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted.
Okay. Another thing is this: is there an album that you made that you wish did better? You wish people knew more? Because there's always the one you love that nobody else loves.
Yeah, it's always that. I don't know, man. I'm happy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been great.
Okay.
I'm very happy.
You ever ask your kids to get in show business? When they ask, you're like,
I don't tell them. They do whatever they love, and I'm very happy for that. I never will force them or suggest to do anything that they don't have a passion for. What I tell them is follow and embrace your passion and go with it.
Quickly, let's go over a few of the albums.
Okay.
Okay, tell me about that one.
Okay. Ooh, we got a bunch of records.
We'll go
So,
fast.
okay, the Swinger from Rio. I'll tell you the story quickly. My friend Nesu Ertegun, he was the owner of Atlantic Records. Him and Ahmed, his brother. He came to Brazil to do a record with Herbie Mann, the flutist. 1961 or something, about that. So he said, if you ever come to New York, call me. I want to make a record with you. And I got to New York doing I don't know what, and I think it was after the Carnegie Hall thing.
Okay.
And I said, Nestor, I'm here. He said, let's make a record. So that was that. This is the same record with a different cover.
Oh, it is?
This is, I don't know what that is. So this is probably what you call compilation, right? But this is the picture. Yeah.
The first one.
That's Herb Alpert presents. Yeah, my dear friend. Yes. Oh, great memories, of course. Few words, Mashkinada, Dara Dara. What else is there? Day Tripper, One Note Samba. Yeah, great memories.
Okay, well, I know you got to run, so we'll go fast.
Okay, yeah, that's the sequence now. Equinox, that's the band at the time that Lonnie and Bibi and Suarez, João, Suarez, João, and Bob, and yeah, Chove Chuva. Oh yeah.
These are what?
Great song, great melodies,
When
great
I met you
melodies.
20 years ago.
Yeah,
I had
look
you sign- I had you
around.
sign that for me.
Really? Wow, is that right?
Not 20. You were in Phoenix 27 years ago.
Wow.
I had darker hair.
We
you had
play.
darker hair. We both
That's
had
right.
darker hair.
We play on the shoulder. We play this song, which I love. The Look of Love is here. So Many Stars. The song I wrote was Marilyn and Alan Bergman. We're gonna do that tonight also. Okay. Hole on the Hill.
Couple more. What's up?
Okay. Here's a good story for you.
Okay.
Okay. If you do this, there's a lady here, right?
Oh, I didn't.
So A&M released this album, and I hear, well, we got a problems with the record stores because this is a beautiful picture of a lady singing, and here there's a nipple here. In those days, the record stores said no nipple. Yes, oh, okay, they put a sticker on it, and it's still beautiful, beautiful photo, and so that's what happens. I think it's kind of cute,
Oh,
you
that's
know.
a great story.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, now you do.
You need a memoir.
I know.
You do.
Yeah,
These people,
I do. Well, but I need a ghostwriter. I need somebody to help me with that.
everyone has a ghostwriter.
Is that right?
Everyone does, yeah.
Cool. I love this album.
Why?
I love this album.
Crystal?
Crystal Illusions. Well, This Pretty World was the song that's Stevie Wonder's favorite song.
You did the song with him too,
Yeah, I did.
for
Yeah.
Electra, right?
Yes, yes. He wrote a song for me. Because anyway,
Okay.
here we go. Stillness, beautiful. Yes. Wow. Look at Gracinha, how pretty.
Very
She was like 18.
Very pretty.
And the rest of the gang, beautiful. Oh man, I miss them so much. Beautiful.
Hey, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So it was Brazil 66. Why didn't you change the name every year?
It's me. I'm anxious. I want day after tomorrow.
What you did?
No, you know what? I felt to be too redundant, because the whole thing is, tell you, why do you call your band Brazil 66? Of course, I'm from Brazil. We're 6 people in the band. That's somebody interprets the interpretation of that. I don't know why you call Brazil 66, because somebody one day said, one of those people that knows everything about you said, I know why you call. I said, why? How many letters on your name? Sergio, 6. Your last name, Mendes, 6. Your country, Brazil, 6. How many people in the band? 6. What year was that? 66. I said, I think it's great what you're suggesting, but it's your fantasy. The fact is that I am from Brazil, and we're 6 in the band, and the year was 19, so that's why. And then 68 came in, so I said, you know what, I'm not going to call every year. So I put it ahead so I can do whatever I want, musically speaking.
Okay.
77, 88, and that's it. That's the story.
That's with Bell, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now, what did you think about disco? Did disco bother you or not?
No, it did not. No, it doesn't bother me. No, it was interesting. You know, people, I mean, Brazilian music is to dance also. We have Carnival in Brazil, which takes, 2 weeks of people in the streets dancing and celebrating. So dancing is fine, of course.
Okay.
With all the rhythms we have in Brazil. But disco became kind of a segment. You know, you still have the dance music is very important. And I had a lot of my records remixed by dance specialists that only do that kind of thing. I think it's great.
Okay. 2 more. Oh, 1 more.
Okay, yeah.
Last one.
That's the one who's never gonna let you go. Yeah.
That's a huge hit.
Yeah.
You can't hide a hit. I don't know who told me that once. But you
That's-
said once you have
that's
a hit, you
true.
can't hide it.
And that's true. You know that I received a demo of the song, and I forgot who was singing, and I said, "What a melody!" I said, "But I need a man to sing that," you know, and which kind of broke the mold a little bit in terms of Brazil. You know, I said, so somebody said, "You got to meet this guy from Youngstown, Ohio." Here I met Joe Pizzullo, the most beautiful voice I've heard in a long time. And we went to the studio with Bruce Swedin, which was the engineer, was another important person in my life. He was Quincy's guy, you know, engineering, did all the Michael Jackson record, and me and Bruce, we kind of, again, great encounter. And we went to the studio, recorded. It was a big hit. It was my first record going back to A&M. So great memories of that.
Okay. Did you ever pass it on? I know you got to go. Did you ever pass it on anybody that you shouldn't have? Any songs, any people?
Not really. No. I mean, no, you know.
Okay, the animated movie Rio was
Yeah.
huge. It was big for you.
Yes. Carlos Saldanha is the name of the Brazilian producer, director, and he invited me to do the Rio 1 and Rio 2. It was a wonderful experience for me. We worked with a great composer named John Powell that lives in LA. We wrote songs together, me and John, and it was a wonderful experience. Totally different than making a record, because you got to follow, you know, a format. That's something that you got to follow the image, you know, and what a great experience. And we're nominated for an Oscar again.
Hey, are you happy? I know years ago in the 60s, they pushed you to make more albums. Are you
Yeah.
happy they did that? Because nowadays they don't do that.
I am happy they did that. You know what? I am. And I'm happy they don't do it anymore either, because I'm going to make a record whenever I feel like making a record.
Okay.